Hello and welcome to another round of Championship predictions from the On Sport podcast. I'm Craig Savage and with me as always is Mr. Daniel Coley. Let's have a quick recap what happened on Easter Monday and the Tuesday. And there were 3 perfect scores overall, 2 for Mr. Daniel Coley. His 2 was in the 1-1 draw between Bristol City and Sheffield United. And Nottingham Forest's 4-0 win against West Brom. Thank you, Sam Surridge. And my perfect score was Millwall 2, Hull 1. But as you can see on the screen, there are more greens on Daniel Coley's side to my side. So Daniel Coley wins the Easter edition by 10 points to 8. Right, let's move on. We've got a few more rounds to go. Let's start off with a Friday night game. It's a Yorkshire derby. It's Huddersfield versus Barnsley. Huddersfield beat Middlesbrough by 2-0. Barnsley lost 2-0 to Peterborough. Barnsley pretty much down. Huddersfield pretty much in the playoffs.
Yeah, I've got to say, I watched the Huddersfield game. They were brilliant on the counter-attack, disciplined defensively. The QPR game, clearly just a blip. Barnsley, as you mentioned, they've got that game in hand next week, but it won't matter because they could officially be down unless they win this game. And the Peterborough game at home, it summed up their season, didn't it? They drew a blank against a side that's letting 83 goals. We mentioned it last week. The decision in the summer to appoint Marcus Schopp is ultimately what's cost them. Huddersfield have got to win this game. They're third, they're comfortable. They're going to be in the playoffs now, no doubt about that. I'm going to go for the same score again. 2-0 Huddersfield seems to be their favourite score, so why not make it ours?
I'm going to go Huddersfield to win by 3-1. Obviously, they've had a tough run in Huddersfield. Obviously, Hull away is a tough place to go to. They've had Luton at home, QPR and Middlesbrough, and they've got pretty much 10 points out of those 12. So that's a very, very good return. It doesn't matter. It's a good draw at the end of the day against QPR. Obviously, results keep going their way. Very good result. Barnsley, on the other hand, I say left it too late. They have left it too late to get. Well, to be fair, they should have never been close to getting out of relegation at this stage of the season because at one point they were so far behind. It was ridiculous. But yeah, it's finally it's caught up to them. Which is a shame because they're trying. There's just not enough quality in that side. And to probably get relegated in the Yorkshire derby is not ideal as well. So yeah, Huddersfield 3, Barnsley 1. Right, next up at Kenilworth Road, it is Luton versus Blackpool in the 12:30 game. It's on TV again. What an incredible thing this is. Luton beat Cardiff by 1-0 and Blackpool battered Birmingham by 6-1.
And I'm amazed that result has not yet led to a manager special. I'm sure you are as well. However, Blackpool were fantastic and they come into this in great form. They needed it as well because they had a few poor performances prior to that, or poor results, I should say. Luton against Cardiff. Look, I'm going to have to get my bias hat on for one of the first times this season. I'm normally the voice of reason, but that was fabulous. An ugly 1-0 win away from home. All 3 subs lost to injury again. Goalkeeper lost again. And this is going to factor into this game on Saturday because we're almost certain to have another emergency lone goalkeeper coming into Luton Town for Saturday's match and the rest of the season as well. And the emergency goalkeeper, as per the EFL rules, has to play. So unless they can get Alex Palmer back again, it's going to be a new face to the club. And I feel that could have a bearing on the rest of the season. Blackpool were brilliant in the week. Got to go a quick mention to Beasley as well. 2 goals on his debut was absolutely fantastic, albeit against a very poor defence. Draw. Championship's favourite scoreline of 1-1 because Luton look 2 back-to-back clean sheets, but they lost a defender, they lost a keeper. They're going to have a new facing goal. I just feel like it's going to be one of those. So I'm going for 1-1. Blackpool love that score away anyway.
I think I said that Luton would need this game as a victory, but considering the 2 games, obviously beating Forest was more than ideal, and obviously the results going Luton's way as well over the weekend. I always prefer a 1-0 away victory. It's always the best feeling. Yeah, Luton have had to work hard with these 3 points. I'm not getting this bias thing, but they had to work hard considering the circumstances. And if it was any other team, they've had to got so many injuries and they've worked hard, got the 3 points. I would praise them as well. But worked hard, great header by Cornick. Snodgrass with the cross, fantastic to see. He settled in very, very, very well. Blackpool, I've had no. I think I've tipped him for the bottom 3. They made me look really silly. I've been superb this season, but they've done really well. First season back in the Championship. Neil Critch season, a very good job. They were a little bit disheartened, obviously losing later on to West Brom, but they bounced back fabulously against a really poor Birmingham side. I'm gonna bias. I don't care. 2-1 to Luton. Right, next up, it's a team that got battered by Blackpool. It's Birmingham. They're at home to Millwall. Millwall beat Hull by 2-1. So let's start off with Birmingham. Everything is going wrong.
Yeah, and we mentioned it in the last episode, the fact that they started conceding goals again, and boy, were they conceding goals. Young goalkeeper, not protected by the defence, tried 2 or 3 different shapes in the game and were atrocious in all of them. Lee Bowyer did the weird post-match press conference where he said, I take full responsibility, and then spent 5 minutes blaming the players afterwards. I didn't quite understand that one, but look, at home, I know they got a win against West Brom a couple of games ago, but they lost from 2-0 up against Coventry. They've got parts of the ground shut. We've covered it all before, but they're just in disarray as a football club. And they're so lucky that other teams have had point deductions, honestly. They're coming up against a Millwall side who in 2022 have been one of the form sides in the Championship. They're almost one of the favourites for the last playoff place now, just a point behind Sheffield United in fantastic form. But their away form's pretty average. They draw a lot of games. But if they want to be in there, they've got to win this one. I'm going to go for a comprehensive, comfortable win for Millwall. They don't often score more than 2, but I'm going to go for 3-0.
Yeah, I expect this to be a pretty hostile environment, and probably one set of fans you don't want to be next to is a set of Millwall fans, and that's not disrespect to Millwall. Yeah, it's nothing that's going right. Birmingham. There's talks obviously Boa could be going. Troy Deeney speaking to fans after the game. It's just a horrible, horrible feeling at Birmingham City Football Club at the moment. I don't know where they're going to turn to. I generally don't know. And what we got to remember is there's 2 teams that have had points deductions below them, and they are extremely lucky that those 2 teams have got points deductions. All right, one's gone, the other one's pretty much survived, but they're extremely lucky that they still be the Championship, and we're still doing predictions for them next season. Overall, it's a total mess on the field, off the field. The fans have had enough. Millwall is probably the worst team you want to play against because Millwall on a very good run. They're strong. They can bully you. Good win against Hull after bounce back from that draw against Preston. I'm going for a 2-0 Millwall win. Right, next up, the top 2 play each other. It is Bournemouth versus Fulham. Bournemouth beat Coventry by 3-0, and Fulham beat Preston by 3-0, and they are promoted. So congratulations to Fulham. We've been waiting for that to happen for a few weeks. Obviously, Fulham's job's done. Bournemouth's job hasn't been done yet. Not the ideal game to have.
No, and it would be a fun way for Fulham, with the goal difference, to essentially wrap up the title, wouldn't it? Which is what I'm thinking here. But you said Dominic Solanke has got to step up to the mark. Well, my word, he did. He got a brace, he performed, and he showed it on a big occasion. So you have to say fair play. Fulham had to bounce back. It was pretty easy for them in the end. We saw the worst of Preston at Luton last month, and they delivered another one of those, unfortunately. Fulham have got to chase the title. They scored 2 against Bournemouth. They will pass 100 goals for the season as well. So I think now the pressure's off Fulham. I think we'll actually start to see the best of them again and start to see a little bit more Samba football, shall we say. So I'm going to go for a Fulham win. Bournemouth, they had a great day against Coventry, but they've been a bit hit and miss at home recently, which has been unlike them for most of the season. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Fulham. I think they will just about sneak the victory.
I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline of 1-1. It's either going to be that or 1-0 to Fulham. I'll go into Bournemouth very quickly. Good result. Very good result. Much needed result, considering they played before Forest, got the job done before they had to do. Fulham turned on the swagger against Preston. Obviously, it was another bad away day for Preston, but we'll get onto them later. But yeah, put on the swagger, got the job done, promoted. Congratulations to them. 1-1 for me. Right, next up, it's Derby versus Bristol City. Derby lost 1-0 to QPR, and Bristol City drew 1-1 with Sheffield United. Derby are relegated to League One following that defeat and that late Reading goal. Where do you see Derby going from this now?
I don't know. It hinges on the takeover, doesn't it, to be honest? We've been in that position, albeit further down the pyramid with Luton, and look where we are now in the Championship predictions. So it is possible to make the comeback. It might be a couple of difficult years because we know League One's probably harder than it's ever been in terms of the stature of club in that division. But look, as long as they've got a team to support next season, I say it every week, it is the most important thing. The key part was obviously January, where they lost a lot of those more experienced heads, Phil Jagielka being a key one at the back. And to be honest, they've just not quite been as consistent since then. And the bottom 3 are the 3 that have got by far the worst away record in the league, which tells you a lot. Slight concern for this game is Tom Lawrence getting another late red card, which means he's going to miss this game too. Bristol City, I actually thought played quite well against Sheffield United. They grew into the game. The goal they scored was fabulous. It's got to be said. Chris Martin, a real strong focal point up there. I have to go for a Bristol City win because Derby now will be deflated. I know the atmosphere will be great, but they have to turn their attention to off the pitch. Missing Tom Lawrence, we saw it earlier in the year. They lack creativity without him. So I'm going to go 2-1 Bristol City, even though Derby's home record's very good.
I'm going for a Derby win by 2-0. There's no pressure on Derby now, especially for the players. There's a little bit of hope in there, but there's no pressure. The crowds are going to be on, well, not on them. They're going to be with them, should I say. You saw the reception on social media that obviously what Rooney and the players got at QPR, and then when they got back, now they need to get the people up above to sort them that crap out, and then obviously then he can work. And obviously we know from as Luton fans that experience. And they've got nothing to lose. I think they're going to turn it on the style a little bit. They are much better at home, Derby, so I'm going to go for a Derby win by 2-0. Right, next up, it's Hull versus Reading. Hull lost 2-1 at Millwall. Reading drew 4-4 with Swansea. Reading came from 4-1 down.
Yeah, it was, at half-time, it was a perfect score for me. It looked like they'd taken the foot off the gas. Then it all went wrong in the second half because Reading, they've got some spirit in that team now with Paul Ince. I mean, we praised the defending last week. We might want to take a step back on that, but I tell you what, they put up one hell of a fight, and fair play to them. That point put them in an almost certain position of safety. Only Peterborough's win, obviously, holding that up. Hull, basically at the start of the second half, did what Cardiff let them do in the last game, which is gave away 2 silly goals in the first 15 minutes of the second period. They've played all right. I genuinely don't know what to go for this game. I think it's going to be a thriller again because neither side's got much to play for. Neither side are brilliant at the back. And Hull can see goals at home. They're the worst home team in the league. 3-2 Reading. Let's go thriller.
Yeah, Reading 4 points out of 6. Late goals again. They are now the Coventry of the bottom half. As you say, I think there's Paul Ince is injected something to this Reading side of never say die attitude, and it's quite astounding, really, that how they keep going right to the end. Because I thought they were doomed. Maybe the change was right. I'm still not sure on Paul Ince. Well, we'll see what happens with them in the summer. Hull, yeah, they're safe. They're fine. I've got no. This is going to be one of those when the teams they've got nothing to play for. I ain't got much to say about them. You're fine. To be fair, Hull scoring gave me the 3 points, so happy. Well done, Hull as well. I'm going to go with 1-1 in this game. Right, next up, Peterborough versus Nottingham Forest at London Road. Peterborough beat Barnsley by 2-0, and Nottingham Forest beat West Brom by 4-0. Let's start off with Forest. Jack Colback's volley that went top corner. Did he mean it? Yes or no?
Well, I said it to you at the time. It was hit with too much power to not be meant. It went in. It's a wonderful goal, and it's a contender for goal of the season without doubt. It was a fabulous result. Obviously, the game was ruined by 2 minutes of madness from Darnell Furlong at 0-0. Obviously gave the penalty for the first goal, which was well taken. And from there, it was a breeze for Forest. A lot of controversy on the second goal. I know you were enjoying Neil Warnock in the studio because the linesman had given correctly a throw into West Brom. The referee overruled it. And obviously all the West Brom players had already moved towards taking the throw in, and it led to everyone being out of position. Peterborough just about clung on in there. Back-to-back wins, but it's too little too late. And now we see those late missed chances against Luton a week or two earlier. How crucial could they be? Their defensive records cost them. I'm sure it will again. I know they've been good, but Forest are too good. I'm going to go 3-1 Forest. Once they score one, they'll steamroll them.
I'm going to go 4-0 to Nottingham Forest.
I wonder where you got that idea from.
No, I don't know. I don't know where I got that from. No, Peterborough, to be fair, they're on good form. You ruled the chances that they had against Luton a couple of weeks ago. I ruled the games that they lost early in the season when they were in a horrible run of form where they didn't win from November till March. So that's what's cost them this season. If they had that little bit of belief, maybe if Grant McCann was in there earlier, it might be a different story. We don't know, but this Nottingham Forest side are too good. Maybe the Luton game was a bit of a blip. Maybe that Luton game was pretty much what they needed. And I said that for other teams. So maybe the defeat wasn't a bad thing. Forest win by 4-0. Right, Sheffield United versus Cardiff at Bramall Lane. It's a Neil Warnock derby, that is. Sheffield United drew 1-1 with Bristol City, and Cardiff lost 1-0 to Luton.
Yeah, obviously I watched both of these games. Cardiff were, well, Steve Morrison made some interesting observations after, said they didn't really deserve to lose the game, which they didn't. But he also talks about players having understanding of game situations on the pitch and having to talk his team through it constantly. Mention the fact there'll probably be a big overhaul there this summer. I'm going to be interested to see what he does next year because his coaching generally has seen an improvement in the side. Sheffield United, they are really missing Brewster and Sharp, having a proper goal scorer in there. And once they got pegged back, they didn't particularly respond well to the adversity either. So no win in 3 for them, 1 in 5. There's definitely question marks about whether they hold on to that 6th place. I don't think Sheffield United win. I'm going to go Championship's favourite scoreline. I just can't separate these sides. Sheffield United don't look like winning.
I think Sheffield United will sneak it by a goal to nil. Get in there. They're getting the chances, but they're not taking them. Like you saw the Bournemouth game a few weeks ago. They had so many chances and they didn't take them. Yeah, they've just lost a bit of confidence of scoring goals, Sheffield United, and they had to obviously get back into the game. Bristol did play well on the day, and it's probably the first time I'm actually going to give Bristol some praise in a very long time. So Bristol worked hard. They played well. They deserved something out of that game. Sheffield United, yeah, just lacking there, and they've got to be very careful. They should get the 6th spot, but 1-0 Sheffield United win for me. Right, next up, it's Stoke versus QPR. Both these teams won by a goal to nil. Stoke won at Blackburn and QPR beat Derby.
Yeah, Michael O'Neill special for Stoke, who there's not much to say about them, is there? They've turned up most weeks now. They've got nothing to play for. It will be an interesting summer for them. QPR, crucial win, gets them back in the mix. 3 points off Sheffield United. And if they can win against these sorts of sides who haven't got anything to play for, it gives them an opportunity. We mentioned they were a lot better against Huddersfield. They had to be very patient against Derby, but they got the job done late on. And just that win will lift so much of the cloud over them. I'm going to go for them to win again because Stoke at home last time out, poor against Bristol City. I don't think there's going to be much in it. Certainly won't be the thriller of the day. I'm going to go for a special against Michael O'Neill, 1-0 QPR.
I'm going for a 0-0 draw. I don't have much to say about this game. Both teams, good results. Stoke winning away. They seem to be doing better away than at home. Obviously, QPR beating Derby, had to win late on, had to work hard for that from Amos. Yeah, I can't have much to say, so I'm going to go 0-0. It's probably one of those, I feel like it's a dead rubber, but obviously QPR got to try and play for something. Right, 3 games to go. Swansea versus Middlesbrough at the Swansea.com. Swansea drew 4-4 with Reading, and Middlesbrough lost 2-0 to Huddersfield. I'm going to go with Middlesbrough first. A hammer blow for that playoff spot.
Yeah, and I think I cursed it again because I talked about how brilliant Sol Bamba was in getting man of the match on Friday. He had an absolute stinker in the first half against Huddersfield. Probably at fault for the goal, got caught deep for the offside line from a set piece. Possibly could have got sent off for a second yellow for a high foot. He just got caught out a number of times and got hooked just after the break as they went more attacking. But they're coming up against the Swansea side who we have praised the defensive efforts of for the last 5 games because it looked like they were finally getting it right. And I don't know what happened the second half. To collapse like that is quite astounding. And I know it's a Reading side that have plenty to play for, but that's got to be a concern for Russell Martin. So middle of the road for Swansea. If they'd won that game, they would have only been 5 points off the playoffs with a game in hand, but that's it. It's over now. Borough have to win, but they don't win away from home. They've only beaten Peterborough. Draw 2-2. Both teams poor at the back. Borough lost their discipline. They looked completely bereft of confidence, and Swansea are just unpredictable.
I think this might be a good thing for Middlesbrough not to be in the playoffs. I think Wilder said that a while back, that it's probably a good thing for them not being in the playoffs this season. So he can regroup these players, get the players he wants to bring in, probably some extra Sheffield United players, and then push on for an automatic spot. I think with Middlesbrough is they're a good side, they've got some good players. I think we've overhyped them a bit too much with the cup run, beating Manchester United and Tottenham. I said good, so got some good players, but they're missing something. This Middlesbrough, maybe a real out and out goal scorer. I think they need. Swansea, game management, man, game management. I criticise them for bad defensive plays, and I have to criticise them. You're 4-1 up away from home. Obviously, yes, Reading are pushing to survive, but you got to learn game management. See it out. Be boring. Do what Luton do. Just time waste, for God's sake. But they didn't, and they conceded 3 goals in that second half, and it's killed them. Again, 1-1 draw. Right, 2 games to go. West Brom versus Coventry at the Hawthorns. West Brom got battered 4-0 by Nottingham Forest, and Coventry got battered against Bournemouth. This pretty much is a dead rubber now because Coventry lost as well.
Yeah, it was. Let's be fair. It didn't affect the outcome of the game, the West Brom decision, because they were getting beaten at 0-0 comfortably. They were poor for the first goal. They led to their own downfall. And the way they reacted to the throw-in, as you said, and the way they continued for 10, 15 minutes afterwards, it was concerning, to say the least. The good thing for them is they're coming up against another side that were beaten comfortably. In fact, both of those results probably cost these two teams any chance at the playoffs now. Coventry actually had more of the ball, double the amount of shots, more shots on target against Bournemouth. Bournemouth scored all 3 of their shots on target. We talked about Dominic Solanke turning up for the big occasion. Coventry are normally a strong side, and they've still, I guess, got an outside chance, but this becomes a very paramount game for them. West Brom have been very good at home for the most part this season, but I wonder what that's going to do to them. I'm going to go for Coventry to win it, 2-1, because West Brom, that season over for them.
I'm going to go 3-1 Coventry instead. Yeah, obviously, West Brom did lose discipline. Don't get me wrong, they lost the plot, especially before the second goal. They lost the plot. It was game over for them. We knew once, obviously, the penalty was given, it was game over. It was like, just pack up, go home. Coventry, they have that blip, they have that heavy defeat, and then they bounce back quite well. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Coventry. And the final game is a Lancashire derby. It's Preston versus Blackburn. Preston lost 3-0 to Fulham, and Blackburn lost 1-0 to Stoke. Blackburn are hanging on by a thread in this playoff race.
I said it on Saturday, I'll say it again. It is a miracle that they are still only 3 points off the playoff places. They haven't won in 5. They've lost 3 of them. They've played a couple of sides right in that relegation mix. They played a couple of sides with nothing to play for. It happened last year with Blackburn, didn't it? The second half of the season, they dropped like a stone. I know they've had injuries here, but so have Luton, so have QPR, so have Sheffield United. And a lot of those sides are still clinging on. So you can't just put it down to that. Preston were poor against Fulham. They've been a complete mixed bag towards the end of the season. I mean, they've got basically the flattest record in the league, 14 wins, 16 draws, 13 defeats. You don't really know what you're going to get. It's going to be a big summer for Ryan Lowe there. But I still think they'll win this game because I don't see where Blackburn's next win comes from. And they look to shoe in for the playoffs for so long, but I'm going to go 1-0 to Preston.
One of the few things I've actually got right this season on this prediction show is I knew Blackburn would fall away. And that was back in December when I said this. There's no way this team is going to be second or third. There's no way. I've not been impressed. And they've fallen so dramatically. I think they're probably one of the worst teams in 2022 in this division. I think QPR are up there, I think, with them as well. So I knew they'll fall away. That needed to be a win on Monday. They didn't look like they were going to score. They could be all day and not look like they're going to score. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Preston, it's a derby. It's on a Monday night. Big crowd. If they had the same big crowd like they did against Blackpool, it could be another feisty game. I'm going to go 2-1 to Preston. Let's have a quick recap. What have we predicted for this weekend's action? We both think Forest are going to hammer Peterborough 4-0 and 3-1 respectively. You think Millwall will batter Birmingham. I think Coventry will get 3 goals away at West Brom. And those are our predictions for this weekend's action in the Championship. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give us your predictions. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football 3. And we'll see you next time.